Hello there, and thank you for choosing to watch today's video. Today I'm discussing the idea that the idea that Gen Z may be more conservative than their millennial counterparts. I'm back from DC, excited to make new videos. The Delaware, possibly being a future swing state video, will be coming out soon. But this is kind of a filler video. But with that, let's get into it. There are a lot of mixed signals about this topic. I've seen lots of people say Gen Z is more liberal, while others said they are a lot more conservative. I personally think that Gen Z is more conservative for a few reasons. Now, first, if you look at the comments of videos about this topic, there's a lot of people who are talking about this. Most of the comments and people watching it said that they are members of Gen Z who lean conservative. I know this may not prove much. I mean, you can say whatever you want online, and it's pretty much, no one can back that up. But even if this is true, the fact that people are watching it, if this is true, the fact people are watching these videos proves something. Now, millennials are very far left, but they vote less often than other generations. I'll let you decide why that is. And they don't care the most about politics. It's like Bernie or bust. So I'll let you decide what that means. But with all these members of Gen Z watching the videos and doing research on right-wing politics, you know that we are definitely much more interested in politics than our predecessors. So even if Gen Z is as liberal as millennials, the conservative wing of our generation will be strong and willing to vote, which will make us seem more conservative. Now, reason two is the fact that I am actually a part of this generation. I myself am Gen Z, and although I live in a very red area, my precinct voted for Trump by 35 points. I live in white working class Ohio. So this may not be the most accurate thing, but I do think it's important to talk about, and that is that all of my friends, except for a few, are conservative. So in my grade last year, I go to a private school, so there's not a lot of kids, or I used to go to private school up in high school. But yeah, anyway, the point is that in my grade last year, there were about 60 boys in my class, and only 2 of them supported Joe Biden. So that's 58 out of 60 boys supported Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the girls were split about 60-40 for Biden. And so this is my other point, and that is that male Zoomers are much more conservative than female Zoomers. And this is because, in my personal opinion, as a male Zoomer, we don't want to be the evil ones. In modern liberalism, men, specifically white males, are targeted as the reason why society sucks. And as a member of white males, I do not like to be blamed for other people's problems. And sure, in the past, males did dominate the world, and I think that it's a good thing we're becoming more diverse. However, it's not my fault that you can't get ahead in life, so don't blame me for all your problems. And that's what a lot of people on the left are doing, and it pushes away a lot of young men like myself. And it's not just white males who feel this way. Hispanic and black males of Gen Z voted more for Trump and the Republicans than millennial minorities, the Gen X minorities, and boomer minorities. And and a lot of them said that they know people who would have voted for Trump if he was more supportive of BLM and slightly more liberal socialist views. We'll touch on that later, though. And now, reason 3 is that millennials tended to be more liberal because many millennials saw it as a way to rebel against their parents and authority. They grew up in a very conservative society back in the 80s and 90s with Ronald Reagan. Pretty much all their parents were semi-conservative. Even back then, Clinton, if you was decently conservative, and the Democrats were actually decently conservative, certainly liberal, but not as far left as they are today. And the thing is, if you're a teenager or a young adult, you have a rebellious side. That's like in your genetic makeup. Everyone goes through that when you go through puberty. It's part of becoming an adulthood. And now every generation has had their movement. The boomers had Make Love Not War. Millennials had Occupy Wall Street and woke culture. And if Gen Z is raised by millennials, Gen Z and grows up in a progressive society, the way we're going with Joe Biden and Kamala and the Democrats, our society becoming more progressive, many of them will use their natural instinct of rebellion that all teenagers and young adults have. Only since the society they are rebelling against is liberal and progressive, they will become more conservative. It'll be like millennials in the Occupy Wall Street movement and woke culture in reverse. Now, I think this is definitely will be more present in the generation after us because we're still in a kind of a transition into liberalism, unfortunately. I mean, we're going to fight it, but if in the event that our society does become woke, then I definitely think the younger generation will become more conservative because it's just your natural instinct to rebel against your parents and society when you're a teenager and young adult. So I think that will definitely take shape. So anyway, reason 4 is that members of Gen Z are much more religious. So if you first look this up, it says that Zoomers are way less religious and many they're all atheists. But if you actually look deeper, most of those polls are for college students. So if you're in college in today's world, are you going to be going to church every Sunday when you're partying, studying, and you're just more liberal in general? I mean, I might, but I'm the exception. But anyway, young adults out of college appear to be going to church more. Young adults appear to be going to church way less often. However, there isn't much data on this, and like I said, it's kind of sketchy. High schoolers, however, are much more religious, with a much higher percentage of high schoolers attending church services and youth groups. This shows us they are getting more exposure to religious values. The question is, will they stick? So reason 5 is interesting, and that is that in 2016, 1,000 students from every state around the nation voted in a mock election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. In this poll, the data was balanced based on the gender and racial makeup of Gen Z to get a good look at the electorate that would be voting in a few years. Here is the map. Pretty cursed, as you can tell, but still, I mean, if you look at the Rust Belt, the places where conservatism is kind of taking off, where the future of the Republican Party, except for Michigan, which is blue, for some reason. I wish they did margins. That'd be interesting to see. It's all red. And I mean, if you look at Utah, it's blue, but that might be because a lot of people were as opposed to Donald Trump, and like I said earlier, their parents are very religious and very Mormon. It's their natural instinct to rebel against them. I think that Bernie wins in Vermont and Rhode Island because I don't know why Rhode Island doesn't make sense to me, but Vermont for Bernie does. A lot of Bernie bros are young and live there. But anyway, looking at this map, it's pretty obvious that Gen Z really like Trump. So in conclusion, I believe Gen Z will be more conservative than their elders. It will, however, be a different kind of conservatism. I see us supporting an America First populist economic view, but unfortunately a pretty moderate social one. And I kind of touched on this before, but an overwhelming amount of Zoomers support the LGBT movement, and just more than half support BLM. And those are actually, I did the research, those are actually pretty decent polls. So Gen Z will certainly be more conservative and populist, but it'll be more of a different kind of conservatism, unfortunately. So with that, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.